Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My crystal ball is still broken, but thankfully, there are graphs, reports, and research from experts that will give us a good idea as to where the current housing market is now and where it's heading. Today, we'll go over what the numbers show about the recent action of the Federal Open Market Committee, or FOMC, regarding the Fed funds rate and its effects on the economy as well as the housing market. Then we'll talk about what are the future plans of the FOMC regarding the Fed funds rate and how it will affect you in general, as well as a home buyer or as a home seller heading into 2023. So follow along and let's dive in. You could argue which came first, the chicken or the egg, and it's the same with our economy and the Fed funds rate. Does the economy dictate what the Fed funds rate does, or does the FOMC use the Fed funds rate to dictate what the economy does? I think it's the latter. The Fed's decision on the Fed funds rate has a trickling down effect. The Fed increased the Fed funds rate by 50 basis points during their December meeting, which was 25 basis points lower than the few previous increases. However, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell did say they're not done yet. The FOMC will keep tweaking the Fed funds rate until they get the inflation down to their target rate of 2% inflation rate. It's looking like the Fed funds rate might get to the 5% or over before reaching their target of 2% inflation rate. However, some think the Fed will actually start to lower the Fed funds rate. Look at this article on Morningstar where they cite that the inflation will hit the 2% mark by mid-year and the Fed will start cutting the rate back. The mortgage rate typically follows inflation, so as shown in these two graphs. Take a look at these two graphs from usinflationcalculator.com and realtor.com. If you notice, back in early 2022, the inflation started going up all the way until June and topped out at 9.1%. And if we look at this graph from realtor.com, and it shows that early 2022, inflation started going up, and so the interest rates start going up as well, and topped out in July as well, and then start heading back down to where it currently is. And if you go back to the usinflationcalculator.com, starting in July, start heading down to where it is now at 7.1, which follows the graph along with it. And before we continue, as usual, if you appreciate videos like this, which does take a long time to put together and research, it would mean so much to me if you go ahead and hit that like button. But more importantly, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe and click that bell to make sure you get notification each time that we upload a new video. It sounds silly and annoying, but you will be helping this channel, which helps me help you learn more about buying and selling a home, keep you updated in the real estate housing market, and also, again, vlog tours of neighborhoods and tips and advice from home buyers and home sellers. So with all that said, thank you so much in advance, and let's continue. Now, the Fed wants to use the Fed funds rate to control the inflation rate. And looking at this graph again by usinflationcalculator.com, you notice that it topped off at 9.1% in June of this year and has started to dip every single month since to the current rate of 7.1%. And in response, taking a look at this graph by Freddie Mac, where they track the weekly rates, and it clearly shows that it has dipped down to the lower sixes. We still have a ways to go, but I have personally seen more activity on the real estate market, and I'm hearing the same from my colleagues as well. So taking a look at this article from realtor.com, where they say that while a return to a 3% range is not likely in the near future, a 5.5 to 6% range interest rate is very realistic. Take a look at this graph by realtor.com, where they track this on a weekly basis. And if you take a look that the median list price in the US has increased by 10.3%. The active listings year over year has increased by 52.8%, and they're staying on the market longer by 9 days, which means that's a 16.4% increase year over year. And if you look over here, the sellers are lowering their prices as well. Though the inventory still remains low based on months of inventory creeping up, we are getting closer and closer to the market being a buyer's market. So going back to this graph from Realtor.com where it clearly shows that the active listings has increased year over year, the percentage of new listings has actually declined by almost 8% year over year. So yes, there are more listings coming to market, but less so than the year before. So what does this mean? Most likely the sellers are starting to think, well, I don't want to lose the lower rate that I have right now in my current home, sell it and then turn around, buy a home at a higher rate. Sellers are also taking their homes off of the market, which means inventory will stay low, which means in turn it will slow down the market from turning over into a buyer's market. Housing affordability is also still low. So even though the rates are lower, the prices of homes are still too high for a lot of people and are contributing to homes staying on the market longer, and the number of home sales has declined as well. The stock market has also taken a hit. So many people had their down payment money stashed in the market and had to pull back and sit and wait. Housing permits collapsed in November as well and are down 22% year over year, and builder confidence is declining every single month. Add to that, having 6 months worth of supply that they need to get rid of, they're now promoting selling their homes to investors to be used as rentals. This is usually a no-no for new builders, but they're getting desperate. And they're also lowering their prices and offering incentives to new buyers, which means this is a great time to buy a home if you can, or if you need to get into a home and are able to buy, take advantage of this opportunity. The less money out of your pocket means you'll be able to save, which means you'll feel a lot better thinking about buying a home. It's a trickle-down effect. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. Rents are still increasing and increasing 4 times faster than salaries are going up. This article on CNBC's Personal Finance says that the corporations are increasing salaries, but they're not factoring in the cost of living. So wages are going up, just not enough. And the lack of supply of rentals is part of what's driving the rents up. But there's good news on that front. Per this article on Housing Wire, there is a backlog of rental units under construction. Once they're built, there should be more rental units, which will help towards slowing down the increase in rent prices. With new builders having a hard time selling their inventory and buyers canceling contracts, it will take time for the correction to happen, but we are heading there. Take a look at this graph. Watch the cursor as I go along up this line. This is the price of the homes back in the 70s, and it has increased every decade ever since, up to now. Imagine if you owned a home back in the 70s or even in the early 90s or early 2000s. Yes, there will be a dip, and we did have a dip back in 2008 when the market crashed all the way to 2012, but it has started increasing ever since, and look at where we are now. So what's my point? Home values will always go high. Yes, there will be bumps in the road, but as long as inflation and wages keep going up, so will home values. As long as you buy for the right reasons, and I want to emphasize right reasons here, meaning if you need to get into a home for one reason or another, maybe the rents are just so high that it makes more sense for you to get into a home, and you buy and hold, you will be just fine. As a matter of fact, you'll be more than fine. Yes, interest rates are high, but you can always refinance later. Lenders are coming up with innovative mortgage products to help you, and the sellers are willing to give you credit so you can use these innovative mortgage products. They're making it so your mortgage payments will be lower. So for example, if you get a 2-1 buy down product on your mortgage and a purchase of a home for around $375,000, you could save up to $400 a month for the first year of your payment. We can't get into here, but go ahead and talk to your lender to show you how this program works, because it's substantial savings for you. With declining home prices, sellers getting nervous, inflation and the mortgage rates decreasing, and new builders offering you incentives on lowering their prices, this is one of the best times for you to buy a home. So if you can, take advantage of these opportunities. If you're a seller, keep up with what's going on with the Fed funds rate and all of the items that we've talked about above. This will give you a good idea if you should sell now or wait. If you do need to sell in this market, make sure you speak with a very knowledgeable real estate agent who knows this market and knows what's going on, someone who will give you proper guidance. More importantly, someone who will set the right expectations with you. You may get a lot less than what you want. You may also have to give credit for the buyer to buy down their rate. You may need to do repairs that you didn't want to. So consider all of this before making a decision whether you should sell now or wait until later. So in summary, keep an eye on what the Fed does with the Fed funds rate because it has a trickling down effect in just about every aspect of the economy, which will affect your savings, your gas and grocery bills, as well as your housing. Consider all of this and how it affects your finances. But if you can, take advantage of the many incentives that the new builders as well as the home sellers are offering you to make it easier for you to buy a home, then do it. If you have any questions about anything that we've discussed in this video, I would love to hear from you. So comment below and let me know what you think. And if you want to know what you need to do to prepare to buy a home in 2023, then watch this video next. Until then, see you around town.